We're going to start in Pakistan, this breaking news where the High Court has suspended former Prime Minister Imran Khan's recent conviction on corruption charges. Now, Khan has been in prison since he was sentenced to 3 years on August the 5th on charges of unlawfully selling state gifts during his time as Prime Minister. As a result of the conviction, he was also barred for 5 years from standing at elections. Suspension of the conviction doesn't necessarily mean that Khan will be free to walk out of jail or that he'll be allowed to contest the national election due later this year. Right, let's head straight to Islamabad. Our Pakistan correspondent, Caroline Davis, is there. Hi, Caroline. So just talk us through what exactly has just happened.
Lewis, this is complicated. So inside court, just behind me, the judges decided that Imran Khan's jail sentence has now been suspended until they hear his appeal on this particular case. It's the Toshakana case. Back at the beginning of August, he was found guilty of not having declared gifts that he had been given, state gifts, that he then sold on. So he was jailed for 3 years from that point. Now, that jail sentence has now been suspended, but it doesn't mean that Imran Khan is about to come out of prison. There are lots of other cases against the former Pakistan Prime Minister, and there are also various different arrest warrants out for him in relation to those cases. That means that he could get arrested again before he even steps foot outside of jail. Now, at the moment, Imran Khan's lawyers are trying to get a universal bail that would stop him from being arrested on any of those cases. Now, that seems like quite a big ask, Lewis. Now, even the lawyers here that I spoke to said the chance of them being able to get that, in their words, was about 70% chance that he will end up remaining in prison. So this looks like a lot of other court cases for Imran Khan's lawyers to go through. Now, the lawyers here were talking about the military establishment. The establishment is the shorthand term here in Pakistan for the military and intelligence services, who are roundly very politically involved. Now, many analysts have looked at what's happened to Imran Khan and essentially said this is the case of the establishment saying that they don't want him to be involved in politics, and so these various different cases have happened to be able to repress his ability to be able to stand in a forthcoming general election. Now, that means at the moment that they would also argue that the chances of Imran Khan getting out of jail will also depend on how the military establishment are feeling towards him at the moment, how the judiciary are feeling towards him. On the counter-narrative here, if you were to speak to the government, if you were to speak to any of those people inside the establishment, they would say this is all about the rule of law, that Imran Khan has broken various different rules of law, and that the fact that he's been found guilty in this case means that he should be imprisoned. So this is the sort of arguments that are going on currently in Pakistan, but the end result, though, is that although Imran Khan has had his jail sentence suspended in this particular case, it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be out of prison immediately, and maybe not for a little while to come.
And Caroline, just very, very briefly, can I ask you about his supporters? Because, of course, we've seen over the last few months his supporters take to the streets. There's been huge demonstrations. They seem to have been decreasing. I'd say demonstrations in support of Imran Khan, of course, against his treatment. What's the wider perception there across the country about what's going on?
Yes, so back on the 9th of May when Imran Khan was first arrested, we did see protests around the country. And then subsequently we saw thousands of Imran Khan's supporters arrested. We saw many of his main leadership within his party left the party altogether. And since then, when he was arrested for the second time, which happened at the beginning of this month, we did not see those sorts of protests. We did not see that sort of uprising. Now, Imran Khan's party have said that that is because there has been repression, that people are scared, that people don't want to come out onto the streets. Of course, the government say that that is because actually people don't want to follow him because of what they saw after the 9th of May when many of his supporters were accused by the government of having been involved in violent protests. I think the reality here is that while Imran Khan, when you speak to people on the streets, remains popular, many people are nervous to publicly declare that they are supporters of Imran Khan. So while we saw in court today many of his supporters, many of his lawyers who were out here and cheering and chanting for him, it is difficult to get a sense that the rest of the country are going to publicly come out, even if behind the scenes perhaps they are still supporting him.
OK, Caroline, thanks so much for that.